Hello, all. Jace here. In this segment, we're going to go over a video and some other information where Senator Josh Hawley, one of the rock stars currently in the United States Senate, is questioning Val Demings. Joe Biden nominated her to sit on the Postal Service Board of Governors, and this is part of the confirmation hearing for Demings. Most recently, Demings, she was the police chief, I believe, for Orlando. Then she became a U.S. Congresswoman. She recently ran against Marco Rubio for the Florida Senate seat, in which he absolutely obliterated her by over 16 points. So now Biden's trying to put her on the Board of Governors because he's trying to find somewhere to get his people on. Let's go into what Josh Hawley had to say, and then I'll throw in a little bit throughout.
Congresswoman, let me just ask you about a little bit of your rhetoric that I'll be honest with you, I find a little bit worrisome, and give you a chance to address it, because this is a nonpartisan position for which you are being nominated. And I realize you've been in partisan politics, and that's fine. I'm in partisan politics, but that's not this position. So let me just ask you about a thing or two that you've said that I find a little worrisome. Let's start with the democracy one. We heard a lot of talk in this most recent election now concluded about Republicans, and particularly the now president-elect, being a fascist, which I think is incredibly irresponsible rhetoric. You said things like that, I think, Congresswoman. Kamala Harris believes in democracy. Donald Trump does not. What's left to say? That's just from a little over a month ago, 2 months ago, September 10th. Do you want to address that? Just give me your perspective. Give us your perspective for the record about how you see this role, about this rhetoric. Let me just give you a chance to respond. And there's one more I want to ask you about after this.
And I thank you for that, Senator Hawley. Having served as a law enforcement officer, as a police chief, certainly as a member of Congress, I've certainly had opinions about the behavior of individuals on both sides of the aisle. But what I can assure you is that whether as a law enforcement officer or as a member of Congress or as a member of the Board of Governors, that my political opinions will never negatively impact the work that is before us on this very bipartisan board.
So in case you guys missed it, that was a full minute of nothing, of bullcrap. She's clearly from the Harris School of speech. That was just a minute of meaningless word salad for her to say that she would not let her personal politics get in the way. That literally that question could have been answered in 3 seconds.
Matter of fact, I currently travel all over the country, asked to do so, along with former Republican members, to talk about the importance of working together in a bipartisan way. I believe it is the only way that we can get the big things done. And strengthening the post office is a big thing that we need to get done.
Last question for you on the same topic. Let's look at the other one. This is about the current president-elect's ability, constitutional right to serve. You said after the Civil War, we ratified the 14th Amendment. It says people try to overthrow the government should be banned. Donald Trump tried to overthrow the government. This was in reference to the cases that tried to get the former president, now future president, kicked off the ballot. I'm deeply concerned about those cases. They failed, as you know. The U.S. Supreme Court weighed in on this 9-0, said absolutely not. This is up to the people to decide. My question for you is that since this time, since you said that, he's been reelected. He's going to be the next president. If you're confirmed for this, you're going to serve under him effectively. Are you able to do that? And just comment on this, which you said, and your potential future role.
Senator Hawley, when President Trump was first elected in 2016, he was not my candidate. But I went to his inauguration because the American people had spoken. And I wanted to, in a very unified way, be there to support the President of the United States because the people had spoken. I believed it was a free and fair election, and it was important for the country to move forward. I was in the House chambers on January 6th. As you well remember, it was a tough time for our nation, I think, for the members of Congress and the American people. expressing my opinion coming out of that very tough time. We moved forward. The same person has been reelected. The American
Now just hang in there because we're going to circle back on her feelings toward January 6th and how adequately she's been able to move forward.
people have spoken, and I respect the will of the people. Again, I can assure you that any personal opinions or things that were said during a specific time in our history will not negatively impact my commitment to working with the Board of Governors to protect and strengthen the United States Postal Service so those people who live in rural areas that we both care about can receive the service that they deserve. Thank you.
Okay. So Val Demings, Biden's trying to force her in real quick right before Trump takes the presidency. And we saw this in 2016. We saw this. There was a bunch of people in elected or nominated positions, just like Val Demings, that Trump just let keep their jobs, let them keep in there, and they undermined him. They leaked information about him. They just completely hamstrung his entire first administration. Now we've seen with Trump's cabinet picks and everything that he's clearly learned from that. And he's trying to bring people in that will actually fight for his policies. But Demings here is just another one of those that, just like 2016, that would just turn around and stab him in the back. And the whole point of Hawley's questioning is about whether or not she can be nonpartisan, serving as the Board of Governors. So the first thing I want to show you guys is Demings' voting record when she was in Congress, right? Just to show whether or not she's the type of person who can reach across the aisle and put partisan politics aside. And you're going to see favors the middle class 100% of the time, favors the wealthy 0% of the time. Broad civil rights 100, narrow 0. Increasing revenue, racial equality, avoiding default, taxing the wealthy, women's rights, LGBT rights, labor rights, environmental protection, consumer protection, taxing businesses, financial sector regulation, gun control, humane immigration policy, which means amnesty. All of those, 100% of the time she favored. She went against any bill that she voted on 0% of the time. Higher spending, she only 2/3 of the time. I don't know. With today's politics, that's probably a pretty good number. Now then, a hawkish foreign policy, 0% of the time. Big business, 0% of the time. Now, I can tell you, liberal, conservative, whatever, if you have any part of your voting history that shows you're doing anything 100% of the time or 0% of the time, the policy does not matter. You're voting party line. Period. That means there's no wiggle room here. There's no room for debate. There's no room for, okay, this bill was introduced by a Republican, or in this case, this policy change for the Postal Service was brought to my desk by a Republican. I'm going to read it. I'm going to give them a fair shake. Nothing in her history demonstrates that she would be willing to do that. Now, we'll go over to her January 6th and how people, we just need to get over it. One of the many, many, many reasons she lost her Senate race to Rubio is because of, where'd it go? This guy right here. They're at a rally, or she's holding a rally. He comes up to her, grabs her hand, which I thought, I don't think you should be grabbing people's hand if you don't know them. Even if you do know them, you probably need to make eye contact first. But grabs her hand, just asks her if he can pray for her. Now she's shocked, dismayed, troubled by this. Her answer later on why she had the reaction to this guy that she did, who just wanted to come pray for her, was, where is it? It's right down here. What I felt, it wasn't him, it was me. I looked at him and thought about the people that broke into the Capitol. Now, does that speak to you as a person who has dealt with their trauma over January 6th? Or someone that sees every white man as a threat? She does not belong in any governmental role. She will not reach across the aisle. She is not open-minded. And clearly, she still stereotypes every white man as a January 6th invader. She doesn't belong there. Josh Hawley was right to question her. I'm quite sure he voted against it. I'm quite sure it didn't matter. And I really hope that as soon as Trump gets in, he gets rid of all of these cancers to his administration, because they're going to do nothing but hurt him. And we have no time to lose. We got to get to work. So he needs to, I'm sure she's going to get through. He needs to get rid of people like this, get his people in so he can actually push the policies that he wants to enact instead of fighting all of the backbiting going on within his administration. We already did that in 2016, and we do not have the time or the money to do it again. Thank you all for watching. God bless. We'll see you for the next one.